the human visitor. Ethan Gray stood still at the top of the shuttle ramp. The alien air smelled like sweet flowers and hot iron. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. His boots touched the purple stone of planet Zerelia for the first time. This was a peaceful mission. Just a meeting, just an agreement. That's what Earth Command told him, but nothing could prepare Ethan for what happened next. A group of tall, elegant aliens stood waiting for him. Their skin was soft blue, their eyes large and shining like stars. Most were females. They all wore long silk-like dresses, colors dancing in the sunlight. Ethan raised his hand in a polite human wave. "Greetings, I'm Ethan Gray, Earth representative." At first, they stood still. Then, one by one, the female aliens lifted their dresses. Ethan's eyes widened. His arm froze in the air. His jaw dropped. What the hell? He quickly looked away, face turning red. Were they mocking him? Was this a test? A prank? The male aliens bowed with straight backs. The females kept their dresses raised, revealing their smooth legs and glowing tattoos that swirled up their thighs like living light. Some even smiled proudly. "I must be dreaming," Ethan whispered. A voice beside him made him jump. "You honor us, human." He turned. A beautiful alien woman stepped forward. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, her white hair tied in gold rings. She did not lift her dress yet. She looked amused. "I am Volari, your guide and diplomat," she said with a smile. "Do you not know the custom?" Ethan blinked. "Custom?" She tilted her head. "We greet with honor. Exposure means respect. The more one shows, the more they trust." Ethan almost choked. Wow. That's very different on Earth." Volari laughed softly. "Ah, the humans and their clothing rules, how charming." Before he could respond, she slowly lifted her dress just enough to reveal a glowing line that ran up her leg, pulsing softly with her heartbeat. "Now we are proper," she said. Ethan's face turned even redder. "Thank you, I think." He had no idea where to look. The other aliens began to walk with them, still revealing themselves proudly. Ethan kept his eyes straight ahead, trying hard not to panic. They entered a large hall made of crystal and wood. The floor was warm and lights danced across the walls like fireflies. Ethan tried to focus on the architecture. "So, is this greeting always like this?" he asked carefully. Volari nodded. "Of course. It's the first step to peace. No secrets, no shame. Only honesty." He swallowed hard. "On Earth, we usually just shake hands." Volari looked shocked. "You touch each other?" "Not like that," he said quickly. She laughed again. "You are very fun, Ethan Gray." Suddenly, a loud voice echoed in the hall. A group of young alien females approached. One of them wore feathers in her hair and had glowing bracelets. "Oh no," Volari muttered. "What's happening now?" Ethan asked. "They are nobles. They wish to show you great honor. I suggest you stand still." The group stopped in front of Ethan. Then, in perfect sync, all of them lifted their dresses even higher, smiling proudly. Ethan's mind shut down. I think I'm going to faint," he whispered. The leader of the group stepped forward. "Human, your courage to arrive alone deserves full respect. I present myself for your gaze." Volari stepped between them. "That's enough. He's not used to our ways." "But he is cute," another alien girl said. "Can I keep him?" "He's not a pet," Volari snapped, clearly annoyed. Ethan raised both hands. Okay, I really need to sit down." Volari guided him to a bench made of soft material. She sat beside him, still amused. "You're doing better than most," she said. "Better?" he gasped. "I nearly passed out from politeness." "You didn't run away," she said. "That means a lot." Ethan looked at her. Her expression was kind. Her eyes were gentle. She hadn't mocked him. Not really. Maybe this mission would be harder than he thought, or maybe a lot more interesting. Ethan thought he had survived the worst part, until breakfast. The next morning, he was led to the Grand Garden, where alien leaders met for formal meals. The table was long and strange, shaped like a glowing leaf. Aliens sat cross-legged around it, but when Ethan walked in, everything went quiet. Then every female alien turned toward him and lifted their dresses. Again, he froze with his tray in hand. Not again, he whispered to himself. This time even the servants paused their duties to expose their legs and glowing markings. Ethan stood like a statue, his plate of food shaking in his hands. Suddenly, Valari appeared beside him. She looked worried. "What did you say to them yesterday?" she asked quickly. Ethan blinked. "I didn't say anything, I just told you, please don't raise your dress at me again, it was too much." Valari's face went pale. Her fingers trembled. "You told me not to show honor?" He nodded slowly. "Yes?" Without a word, she turned and slapped herself hard across the face. Ethan's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" The other aliens gasped. A tall female elder stood up and shouted, "Valari has shamed herself before her chosen one." Ethan felt all eyes on him. He had no idea what was happening. "What did I do?" he whispered. Valari's voice was low. On Sirelia, asking someone to cover themselves after they revealed honor is a deep rejection. Worse than an insult, it means you see them as unworthy. His mouth fell open. "But I didn't mean that. On Earth, we're not used to—" "I understand," she interrupted softly. "But the others, they think you're challenging my right to bond." "Bond?" A tall male ambassador stood. "If the human rejects the honor of Valari, does he intend to challenge her in public?" Ethan almost dropped his tray. "I don't want to fight anybody," he shouted. "I just wanted pancakes." There was silence. Then someone whispered, "He seeks war through breakfast." Valari stood and raised both hands. "Enough! He does not understand our ways." Another elder replied, "Then he must choose. Accept the bond, or face the ritual of regret." Ethan gulped. "What's the ritual of regret?" Valari looked away. "It involves 3 days of being chased by angry naked warriors with feathers and jellyfish whips." Ethan's hands trembled. "Oh no." Valari leaned in close and whispered, "Say I'm your chosen, just for now, or they'll make you dance in front of the fire pit of sorrow." With no better option, Ethan raised his hand and said loudly, "I accept Valari as my, honor person." A moment of silence. Then the room erupted into cheers. Dancers appeared. Music played. A young alien ran forward and tied a glowing silk cord around Valari's and Ethan's wrists. "You are now honor-bound," the elder declared. Ethan leaned toward her and whispered, "Did I just marry you?" Valari smiled faintly. "Not yet. But now you owe me 3 dances, 3 stories, and at least 1 public kiss." "What?" she smirked. "Don't worry. I'll let you pick the story." Later that day, Ethan sat alone in his guest chamber, staring at the glowing band still tied to his wrist. His translator buzzed softly, repeating alien words he had heard during the meal. He tapped it and asked, "Translate public honor bond." The voice replied, "A sacred trial leading toward union, affection, or immediate family." Ethan dropped the device. "I just accidentally got engaged, didn't I?" The door opened quietly. Valari stepped in. She wore a long white robe now, her markings glowing softly beneath it. "You handled today better than expected," she said. "Thanks," he replied flatly. "I only almost caused a diplomatic war, twice." She sat beside him, her smile softer now. "We don't expect you to understand everything, but you didn't run. That matters here." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. "Is this all a game to you?" She shook her head. "No, not anymore." Their eyes met. And for the first time, the laughter faded. Silence grew between them. Not cold, not awkward, just thoughtful. Outside, the twin moons rose. Inside, 2 strange people sat quietly. one hiding under layers of cloth, the other learning what honor really meant. Ethan thought things couldn't get more awkward, until the ambassador told him to wear a dress. A what? He asked. A formal, flowing garment of peace, said the alien attendant. Wearing it shows mutual respect during the ceremony of exposure. Ethan stared at the soft robe draped over his bed. It shimmered like liquid moonlight and was slightly see-through. It had no pants. Where's the rest of it? He asked. That's all, human. The attendant smiled politely. You will look delicious. I don't think that word means what you think it means, Ethan mumbled. But soon he found himself walking through a glowing crystal hallway, wearing the odd garment, chest half visible, legs fully exposed, and dignity almost completely gone. Valari waited at the end of the hall, wearing a dress made of golden threads and soft white feathers. Her legs were bare and her markings glowed bright orange, the color of bold attraction as Ethan had learned. You look braver than yesterday, she said with a smirk. I look ridiculous, he replied. She stepped closer, her eyes scanning him slowly. You look like someone who's about to be honored. He gulped. Please tell me this doesn't involve another group lifting their dresses at me. She smiled. No. Today, you lift yours. His eyes widened. What? A loud drumbeat echoed through the chamber. The door ahead slid open. Inside stood a half circle of 12 high-ranking alien women, each in glowing ceremonial robes. They turned to face him. Their expressions were serious, their hands clasped in front of them. They will present themselves first, Valari whispered. Then you must do the same, or you'll insult all their houses. Ethan took a deep breath as the first alien woman stepped forward. With grace and pride, she lifted her long robe up to her waist, revealing intricate glowing tattoos on her thighs and a glimmering gem embedded in her hip. She bowed. The next followed, then the next. Each lifted her robe. Each offered a short phrase in her own language, likely blessings or praise. Ethan's ears burned. Finally, the last elder turned, raised her garment, and declared loudly, I accept the human strength and offer my legacy. The drumbeat stopped. Silence. Valari nudged him. Your turn. Ethan wanted to vanish, but instead he stepped forward, grabbed the sides of his thin robe and lifted it just high enough to reveal his knees. Dead silence. The alien women stared. Valari looked horrified. Higher, Ethan, that's the level of children. Grimacing, Ethan raised the robe a little more. Now his thighs were visible. His legs trembled with embarrassment. Suddenly the women broke into smiles. One clapped. Another laughed proudly. Then, the lead elder declared, The human shows boldness. Let the bonding trial begin. Ethan blinked. What trial? Too late. Two servants stepped forward and tied a glowing sash between him and Valari. Again. You must walk the path of flames together, one said. Only those truly in sync may pass unharmed. Before Ethan could protest, the floor in front of them lit up, a trail of glowing, flickering energy stones. They're hot, Valari said, taking his hand. But only if we step out of rhythm. Wait, what? The music began, an eerie, slow beat that echoed through the chamber. Valari started moving, her steps light and graceful. Ethan struggled to match her pace. He felt the heat from the stones. One wrong step, and his foot would burn. Left, Valari whispered. He stepped left. Pause. He stopped. The crowd, around them, held their breath. Now spin, she whispered. What? She spun, dragging him along. He nearly tripped, but caught himself. The crowd gasped in awe. They reached the end of the path, unburned. Cheers exploded. The music grew wild. Someone tossed glowing petals in the air. Valari smiled, breathless. You did it, Ethan panted. I almost died from blisters. You earned respect, she said. And now, you've passed step 2 of bonding. Step 2, he muttered. How many are there? She winked. 7, and the next one. It involves food, and very messy fingers. Ethan groaned. Why can't aliens just shake hands? Ethan only wanted to hide for the rest of the day, but instead he found himself being led into a wedding garden. Why are we here? He asked, his robe still damp with sweat from the path of flames. Valari smiled mysteriously. The council wishes to reward your bravery with an official feast. It is tradition for bonded pairs to attend. Bonded? I never agreed to. They think we're already halfway married, Ethan. Before he could argue, they stepped into the garden. Alien flowers glowed softly under the twin suns. A table of fruits and glowing drinks waited. Guests turned to see them. Everyone clapped. Ethan froze. Why are they clapping like that? They think we're announcing something, Valari whispered. A noblewoman in a glittering cape approached. She looked at Ethan and sniffed. So, this is the shy little human. Pleased to meet you, Ethan said nervously. The woman laughed. Your modesty is fake, isn't it? You've clearly seduced our poor Valari. Look at her. She's glowing like a furnace. I'm glowing because he almost dragged us into fire, Valari muttered. The noblewoman smirked. Are you two official yet, or still teasing the crowd? Ethan looked at Valari. She looked at him, and then it happened. To avoid more awkward questions, Ethan panicked and said, We're together. Yes. Officially. Valari blinked. Wait, what? The garden fell silent. Then, cheering. Drums began to play. A soft mist floated across the grass. Someone tossed glittering powder in the air, forming shimmering hearts above them. Ethan leaned toward Valari. I just made things worse, didn't I? You have no idea, she said, grabbing his arm tightly. In seconds, they were surrounded by dancers, singers, and elders holding ceremonial ribbons. Prepare the bonding gifts, someone shouted. A young alien girl ran forward, holding a tray with 2 glowing worms. Eat these together, the elder said. It will seal your promise. Ethan stared at the squirming creatures. You've got to be kidding me, Valari sighed. Just chew quickly. They both bit into the worms at the same time. It was slimy, cold, and somehow tasted like lemon and metal. More cheers. Now share your public vow, someone said. Ethan whispered. We didn't plan a vow. Just say something weird and sincere, Valari whispered back. He turned toward the crowd and said loudly, I promise not to trip over her. Again. Everyone laughed. Valari added, and I promise to keep him from burning his feet. The crowd roared with approval. Then the noblewoman from earlier stepped forward, clapping slowly. So sweet, she said with a smirk. But is it real? Ethan frowned. What do you mean? I mean, why would a strong Zarelian like Valari choose a soft, confused, low-tech human? Unless she's just hiding from something. Valari's face hardened. What are you implying? A noblewoman smiled. I challenge you for him. Gasps filled the garden. Ethan's jaw dropped. Challenge? She's invoking the rival's right, Valari whispered. What does that mean? Valari stared at the noblewoman. It means she wants to take you from me. Take me? Like a lamp? If she wins by law, you become hers. Ethan turned pale. I don't want to be anybody's property. Then I'd better win, Valari said coldly. The noblewoman raised her arms. Tomorrow at moonrise, we fight. She turned and walked away, leaving petals behind. Ethan stared at Valari. You're not seriously going to fight for me, are you? Valari looked at him quietly. I didn't plan to. Then she touched the silk ribbon still tying their wrists. But now, I don't like the idea of someone else holding the end of this string. Ethan's heart skipped. Was this still part of the fake engagement, or was something real starting to form beneath the jokes, the rituals, and the Flashing dresses? The arena was alive with firelight. Torches burned in tall silver stands. Alien nobles filled the marble seats. A drumbeat echoed slowly, like a heartbeat before a storm. Ethan stood at the edge of the circle, hands sweating, heart pounding. He wasn't the fighter. He wasn't even allowed in the ring. But he was the prize. Above the arena, carved into glowing stone, were the ancient words of Shirelian law. To win the bond, one must bear the soul, or the blade. Valari stepped forward, dressed in tight ceremonial wraps. Her face was calm, but her eyes blazed like twin suns. Across the arena, her rival appeared, Lady Thressa. She was taller, stronger, her body painted in sharp tribal lines. She held a long staff with spinning blades at each end. "She's going to kill you," Ethan whispered. Valari smirked. "She'll try." But this was supposed to be fake. Just an excuse so I didn't get chased with jellyfish whips. Valari looked at him. "It was fake. Until someone tried to steal you." Ethan opened his mouth, but said nothing. The crowd grew quiet. A horn blasted once. The duel began. Lady Thressa moved fast, twisting, spinning, her blades slicing the air. Valari dodged like water, slipping through strikes with barely an inch to spare. Then came the first hit. Thressa's staff cracked against Valari's arm. The crowd gasped. Blood glimmered in the torchlight. Ethan's fists clenched. Valari didn't cry out. She spun low and struck Thressa's leg. The tall woman stumbled but caught herself and leapt backward. "You fight like someone protecting a toy," Thressa shouted. "He's not worth this." Valari answered by throwing. Her blade aside, the arena went silent. "She's discarding her weapon," a noble gasped. "She chooses the ritual of soul," another shouted. Ethan looked around. "What does that mean?" The judge announced loudly, "Valari now fights with truth only. If she bleeds again, she loses." "No." Ethan stepped forward, but guards blocked him. In the center of the ring, Valari stood tall, arms open. "If he's not worth fighting for," she called out, "then why does my heart race every time he looks at me?" Gasps rippled across the arena. Thressa hesitated, her weapon still raised. "He's clumsy, strange, and always says the wrong thing," Valari continued. "But he tries, he listens, and even when afraid, he still stands beside me." The crowd leaned in, breathless, "And that," she said, pointing at Ethan, "is worth bleeding for." Thressa's grip on her staff loosened, but pride wouldn't let her surrender. She attacked again, wild and furious. Valari ducked under the first blow, leapt over the second. Dust and fire swirled around them. Then, silence. Thressa's weapon lay broken on the ground, and Valari stood behind her untouched. The elder judge stood. "Valari of the House of Sky has won the bond. The human is hers by trial." Cheers thundered through the arena. Ethan stumbled forward as Valari approached him. Sweat and blood streaked across her skin. "Why did you do that?" he asked softly. She stared into his eyes. "Because it stopped being a game the moment. You defended my honor with nothing but your awkward smile." Ethan chuckled, a little breathless. "So, are we engaged now?" "No," she said. Then she reached down, untied the ribbon on his wrist, and tied it around her own. "We're something better." Ethan looked down at her hand, then up at the stars burning above them. Somewhere in this strange galaxy, on a planet where women flashed their dresses as greetings, he had found someone who bled for him, and he realized he would bleed for her, too. That night, the stars over Sirelia burned bright, but not brighter than the questions in Ethan's heart. He sat on a soft stone bench outside the celebration hall. Alien music played inside. Laughter, cheers, and dancing filled the air, but Ethan felt distant from it all. He kept staring at the soft ribbon Valari had wrapped around her wrist after the duel. "She tied it to herself," he whispered. "But not to me." The air shifted. Then Valari appeared beside him. Her dress was gone. In its place, she wore a simple dark robe with no markings, no glitter, no glowing symbols. Just Silence. You're not celebrating? He asked. I was, she replied, until I saw your face. He looked at her carefully. Did I ruin something again? She smiled faintly. You didn't ruin anything, but I think it's time I show you what's really under the dress. Ethan's eyes widened. Wait, I didn't mean… Valari chuckled. Not like that, human. I mean, the truth. She sat beside him, her robe rustling gently in the wind. You think this world is all rituals and games, she said. Flashing dresses, feasts, duels, laughter. Yeah, he admitted. It feels like a wild alien comedy sometimes. But underneath all of it, she whispered, we wear these customs like armor. Ethan tilted his head. Armor? She nodded slowly. You asked once why we lift our dresses as a greeting. You thought it was about shock, or flirting, wasn't it? He asked. Valari reached down, pulled back her robe just slightly, and showed him the top of a scar. A thin, silvery line curved along her thigh. It started long ago, she said. Our ancestors lived in fear of each other, wars, betrayals. Then one queen decided, no more lies, no more hidden weapons. She ordered that every woman must reveal the place where blades once hid, to prove she carried none. Ethan stared at the scar, then at her face. Over time, she continued, it became a sign of trust, of openness, of pain endured but not hidden. Silence grew between them. I never knew, Ethan whispered. No one tells outsiders, she replied, because most laugh or look away in shame. But I didn't. She looked at him, eyes shining. No, you blushed, you panicked, but you stayed. He swallowed hard. And you fought for me. Valari smiled. Not just for you, for us. I realized something during that duel. She turned toward him fully. I've never had someone look at me the way you do. Not at my skin, not at my glow, but like I'm more than all of that. Ethan leaned forward slightly. Because you are. She slowly reached out, took his hand, and placed it on her chest, right over her heartbeat. We don't show this to just anyone, she said softly. He felt the strong, steady rhythm beneath her skin. Then why me? He asked. She smiled, tears just behind her lashes. Because you were the only one who didn't want to see everything, but stayed anyway. They sat like that under the stars, his hand on her chest, her truth finally uncovered. Not skin, but soul. Then, suddenly, an explosion rocked the hills nearby. Ethan jumped to his feet. What was that? A young alien messenger ran toward them, out of breath. Ambassador Ethan! Urgent distress call. Your Earthship. Sabotage detected. They believe it's a trap. Valari's eyes hardened. Then it's not over. Ethan turned to her. Are you with me? She untied the ribbon from her wrist and tied it around both their hands this time. I was always with you. The alien skies were burning. Flames rose behind the horizon as Ethan and Valari raced through the temple corridors, their hands still tied by the glowing silk ribbon. Emergency lights flickered. Sirens echoed in strange alien tones, high, trembling notes that made Ethan's skin crawl. This wasn't just sabotage, Valari said grimly. Someone wants you dead, Ethan. But why now? He shouted. We won the duel. The council accepted the bond. Valari's eyes narrowed. Someone powerful didn't. As they turned a corner, a group of armored guards blocked their path. Xerelians, but their eyes were cold, uniforms unmarked. Rogue. Their leader stepped forward, his weapon glowing with plasma energy. You dishonor the bond, Valari. That human is a threat to our purity. He's under my protection, she snapped. Then you'll fall with him. They raised their weapons, but before Ethan could react, Valari stepped in front of him. Again. No! He shouted, trying to pull her back, but she stood tall. You said you'd bleed for me, she whispered. Let me bleed for you. Then she lifted her dress, not as a greeting, not as comedy, but as a warrior's final stand. The symbols across her legs burned bright gold, the color of defiance. Every guard paused. Even rebels hesitated. House of Sky never kneels, she declared. Strike me and you declare war on every noble bloodline. The rebels trembled. One by one they lowered their weapons and retreated. Silence returned. The fire in the sky still raged, but the moment had passed. Ethan collapsed onto a step, overwhelmed. You keep stepping in front of danger, he said, panting. You're going to get yourself killed. Valari sat beside him. That's what honor is, he turned to her, more serious than ever. Then maybe I don't want honor, maybe I just want you. Alive, she blinked. He took her hand, untied the ribbon binding them, and then tied it back again, slowly, carefully, wrapping it around both their wrists. I don't understand half your customs, Ethan said. But if this is how we bond, then I want this. She looked down at their joined hands, her eyes shimmered. You're not what I expected from humans. You're everything I didn't expect from aliens. A long silence. Then from behind the temple ruins, a voice called out, Ambassador, Earth shuttle is ready. Extraction in 2 minutes. Ethan stood. He looked at Valari. Come with me. Her smile faded. Shirelia is my home. But you don't belong to them anymore. Not after what they tried to do. You don't belong to rules or ribbons or flashing dresses. You belong wherever you want to be. She looked at the fire on the horizon. Then at him. Even if it means hiding. My legs forever? Ethan grinned. We'll negotiate your fashion freedom, she laughed. A real laugh. Then she stood and with a deep breath reached for her ceremonial robe, and for the very last time, she lifted it, not as a joke, not as a law, but with pride and love. The tattoos on her legs glowed bright, then slowly faded, replaced by a soft pulsing light where Ethan's name had been carved in glowing ink. Ethan gasped. What is that? Final bond, she said. Our names, written beneath the dress, only visible to each other. He stared at the glow, then looked at her with awe. No one else ever? She shook her head. Never. Then they walked, toward the waiting shuttle, hand in hand, bound by glowing ribbon, alien customs and something far deeper than either world could explain. As the hatch closed behind them and the stars tilted above, Valari whispered, Human? Yeah. You still blush when I lift my dress? He smiled. And you still do it when I least expect it. They laughed together, two souls from two worlds wrapped in ribbons, scars, and the strangest love story the galaxy had ever seen.